explicar y nadie les ayudará.
Hey Stranger Things squad, brace yourselves because the finale is about to shatter everything you thought you knew. Picture this. 11, tears streaming, powers blazing, forced to square off against Will Byers himself. But it's not him. Vecna's got him in a vice grip, pulling every string in the most brutal, no-way-out showdown imaginable. This isn't fan theory, this is happening, and it's gonna leave us all wrecked in the best way possible. But hold up, where the hell is the Mind Flayer? That shadowy overlord who's been lurking since season 1, the big bad pulling Vecna's chains. Poof! Vanished? Forgotten? Or is there a twist so massive it'll flip the entire upside down on its head? We're diving deep into why he might sit this one out, or explode back in ways you never saw coming. And trailers? Oh, we've got the tea on everything. Final bombshells before premiere, post, Volume 1 hype for 2 and 3, drop dates, and the wild footage that'll have you screaming. Stick with me. These are the Ultimate Stranger Things secrets you can't miss. Hit play, turn it up, and let's unravel the endgame. You know, there were a lot of things I hadn't even stopped to think about, especially after reading your comments. Yeah, it's been a while since I made a video like this, and especially about Stranger Things. There's so much happening right now that adds real value and context, details you might not have noticed at first glance. These comment-based videos, even if you didn't send anything in, are super important. They help us break things down together, and honestly, I love doing them. So hey, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming Stranger Things coverage. Now, one thing I have to clarify, this isn't the final trailer, it's trailer 1. My god, what a confusing fandom sometimes. This comment I'm responding to is actually about that trailer that dropped last week. I even mentioned it in the title, but still, a lot of people kept calling it the final trailer. And yeah, I get it, it sounds weird to say that, because technically there hadn't been any trailer before that for this season. All those other clips and promos? Those were teasers. But here's the thing, this has been Netflix's consistent pattern for major series launches. Every big show they've dropped this year followed the same timeline. Some were final seasons too, like Squid Game. Wednesday wasn't a final season, but it followed the same formula. Alice in Borderland did too. Now let's talk about what happens after Volume 1. When Volume 1 drops on the 26th, expect Netflix to release a teaser for Volume 2 right after you finish watching. Volume 2 comes out on Christmas Day, December 25th. Then, somewhere around mid-December, probably the second week, we'll likely get a full Volume 2 trailer or a bigger teaser. And when Volume 2 finally releases on Christmas, there'll be just 1 week left until Volume 3, the final part. So yeah, expect one last mini teaser focused on the finale, Episode 8. Probably just a short clip, but it'll definitely set the tone for the end. Alright, now let's talk about that scene, Will yelling, "Run!" What's going on there? That moment is actually a continuation of the final scene from the trailer, and it's not new. This shot of Will shouting, "Run!" with that terrified, almost possessed expression was first shown in the very first teaser we ever got for Stranger Things 5, way back on May 31st. It's one of those small moments fans remembered perfectly, and it's about to make a huge comeback in Season 5. Now, finally, we can add a real connection here. And yes, I truly believe this scene fits perfectly with the final shot from the trailer that just dropped. The moment Will is yelling seems to line up seamlessly right after that sequence, because right before it, we see Will getting knocked out, Joyce is carrying him, the whole situation is chaos. And then, when Vecna appears, he throws everyone aside with that terrifying power. That's likely when Will ends up lying on the ground, motionless. And in that moment, Vecna notices him, remembers his connection, and lifts him up because he's been influencing Will since long before. And then comes that haunting line, "You will help me one last time." It's right after that when Will could be the one to yell, "Run!" with that strong emotional R that sends chills down your spine. But here's something worth remembering. There was actually a leaked audio last year from a recording session that sounds very similar to this exact scream from Will in the final teaser. And that audio supposedly came from a scene that takes place at the WSQK radio station. So, I'm not going to say for sure in this video that the run moment happens after the Vecna encounter. It could very well be at the WSQK station instead, based on what we've seen from those filming leaks. Now, on to another big question that's been floating around lately. Will the Mind Flayer return this season? Great question, and one that's come up a lot. Because yeah, some people think the show might have just forgotten about the Mind Flayer, right? One of the most terrifying and central forces in the entire series. But no, they didn't forget. That shot of the tower at the radio station? You can literally see Mind Flayer particles rising up the structure. We saw that same moment in the July teaser, and it appeared again in this latest trailer. The key thing to understand is this: Vecna has become the dominant villain now. Like it or not, he's the one pulling the strings. And sure, you can argue that the Mind Flayer existed long before Vecna took form, and that's true. But remember, Vecna harnessed the Mind Flayer's power for himself. He's the one controlling it, shaping it, using it. So, while the Mind Flayer is still very much present, it's Vecna who's sitting at the top of the hierarchy this time. This 5th season was officially confirmed to dive deep into all of this. The origins of the Upside Down, Dimension X, and everything connected to it. But here's the key thing Season 4 revealed. Vecna helped shape the Mind Flayer. It already existed before, but Vecna was the one who gave it form, molding it, using it, and channeling its power, especially during the moments when he absorbed Will's mind and took control. So yeah, Vecna's the one on top. Now, I know some fans don't see it that way. Oh no, in my head, it's the Mind Flayer who's in charge. Vecna's just his general. And yeah, there were a ton of theories like that back when Season 4 aired. But if you look at everything we've gotten since then, the marketing for Season 5, official interviews, the tone of the trailers, it all points in one direction. Vecna is the head of everything. His plan feels exactly like that of a being who wants total control. He wants to create his own world, a place where he decides everything, where he's the ruler of both life and death. That's his central goal. And honestly, even if I end up being wrong, and there's some huge plot twist where it turns out the Mind Flayer was the true mastermind all along, and Vecna was just his puppet, even then, Vecna would still remain the most important figure. Because Vecna is the personification of evil in this story. No matter how you flip it, he's the face of darkness in Stranger Things. That's exactly why we barely see any trace of the Mind Flayer in the trailer, and why there will probably be even less of it in the actual season. It's not that it's gone completely, it'll still appear in key moments, but make no mistake, this season's focus is all about Vecna. Now, let's talk about something a little wild. A theory that's been popping up everywhere. And honestly, I'm starting to believe it too. Vecna might force Will to fight Eleven. Yeah, write that down, because I've seen tons of people talking about it here in the comments, and even more across social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all discussing this exact idea. So, what's this theory based on? It actually connects to things I've already pointed out in my trailer breakdown and detailed analysis video. In that scene, it looks like Vecna is going to use Will again, just like he did before. Everything about the setup suggests that he'll be manipulating Will's powers right in front of everyone this time, not secretly, but openly. And I mentioned in that video, it's not confirmed yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if, in the next sequence, we see Will with pure white eyes, completely under Vecna's control. And it's not just speculation, the official Lego figure of Will for this season also has white eyes. That's not a coincidence. I wouldn't doubt that we'll see Will in that state, maybe even attacking people while Vecna controls him from within. Would that be confirmed? Not yet. Would it be epic? Absolutely. The epic of epics. It fits perfectly with the theory that Eleven may have to face Will, her best friend, in one of the most emotional moments of the season. And remember that official Season 5 poster I broke down in my details video? It shows this massive central pillar, Eleven standing at the base, symbolizing good, Vecna looming above her as evil, and right in between them, Will. He's the connection, the bridge between good and evil, a character who naturally belongs to the light, but who's being consumed by darkness. That's why it makes so much sense that, at some point in the story, we could see a battle like that, Will versus Eleven, maybe not as the final fight, but definitely one of the biggest confrontations in the series. There were even behind-the-scenes leaks claiming that Will might serve as a fake sacrifice near the end of this season. That to finally defeat Vecna, the group would have to defeat Will, maybe even kill him, only for it to turn out that he survives in the end. Like a heartbreaking fake-out, the kind of emotional twist Stranger Things loves to pull. Of course, these are still theories, rumor points from the set, from recordings, and other leaks. But man, there's just so much pointing toward this being possible. And if it happens, it's going to be one of the most talked about scenes in the entire season. Picture it. Will, completely controlled by Vecna, losing himself in that rage, and Eleven, standing there, forced to hold back her powers against her best friend. It would be absolutely insane, one of the craziest and most emotional plotlines of Stranger Things 5. And honestly, it makes total sense when you think about Vecna's plan. Vecna knows everything. He's aware of Eleven's power, how much she's evolved since their last battle. He knows she's stronger now. And even though he's grown more powerful too, he knows she's still his biggest threat. So what's one way to weaken her? Force her to fight someone she loves, someone who means the world to her. If Vecna manages to turn Will against Eleven, he's not just attacking her physically, he's breaking her emotionally. Now, again, I'm not confirming that this fight will happen. It's not official, but it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it would be incredible to see. Honestly, I'm rooting for it, at least a small sequence of it. Alright, moving on to another big question I've been getting lately. Which episode do you think the hospital attack happens in? Let's talk about that. The famous hospital attack, the scene where Lucas is seen protecting Max while several Demobats swarm in. Based on the footage we've seen and everything we've analyzed here on the channel, the most likely scenario is that this doesn't happen in episode 1 or episode 2. Here's why. There's going to be a build-up. Max is in a coma, Lucas is getting frustrated because there's no progress, but he starts noticing small signs that music might be helping her. Meanwhile, inside her mind, Max is still trapped in Vecna's world, trying to escape, struggling to break free, and all of that chaos starts messing with Vecna's plans. According to filming details, that's exactly what triggers the Demodog's attack on the hospital. Vecna wants to eliminate Max once and for all, physically, because she's starting to disrupt him from within. And for that to happen, the story needs time to build tension. So right now, I'd say the most probable window for that sequence is episode 4 or episode 5. It wouldn't happen during the Turnbow trap, because that's already when the group is in the tunnels, that whole sequence. By that point, Lucas would have already come back to Max, since he's not present at the military base scenes. That's why I think this whole hospital attack could serve as the big closing sequence for Volume 1. Now, I could be totally wrong, maybe they'll shock us and throw it in earlier, but for now, that's my bet. And honestly, I don't think it makes sense for that Vecna-Will scene to be the last scene of Volume 1, only for the show to return a month later. That scene has already been shown in the trailer, so it wouldn't feel right to end Volume 1 there without any continuation. And speaking of that scene, let's clear something up. One of those leaks came straight from an official Netflix file, a still image of Will and Vecna together, released separately as part of the Season 5 media package. You'll see it on screen right now. The official file name reads Stranger Things Season 5, S5. That's the exact internal name Netflix used when uploading the still. So yeah, this isn't random fan art, this is the real deal. Now let's talk about that major scene timing in episode 4. The moment when Vecna holds Will's face happens around 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 5 seconds, remembering that the full episode runs 1 hour and 23 minutes, including the ending credits. So, whatever happens right after that, if anything, will be extremely short. Maybe Will turns around with those eerie white eyes, facing the others for a brief moment, but we can't be sure yet. What we do know is that this scene clearly closes out Volume 1, Episode 4. It's the end of the first half of the season. And that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. If you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to drop a like, share it with your friends and fellow Stranger Things fans, and hit that subscribe button, plus ring the bell so you never miss an update from Explainverse. Thanks so much for watching. You guys are the best, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Stay strange, and peace out.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I breathe.